I can't see the whole table because John's in the way. So there's no telling what's going to come up. I think I see the 4 ball right here. This is 3, 2, and 1. So we're missing the 5, 6, and 7. Now we're missing, yeah, the 5, 6, and 7. Where the hell are the 5, 6, and 7? This looks like a basic roll up, and we got a problem with this 3 ball. Let's deal with it after this shot, and hopefully I get it out of the way. Okay, good. Alright, now we can see the rest of the table. It's real easy to get hooked behind this 3. It's going to take a major touch. We need to come out the center of the table. Four, 5 is easy enough. 6 is easy enough. This 8 ball is a beach ball. Unless we get absolutely perfect on the 6, and we can just draw back if we get not straight in, but a little bit of an angle on the 6. There's a lot of ways to play this. I'm quite concerned about this 3 ball. Let's see what we do here. You draw back to that rail. That's my style, and bounce off just like that, and I get perfect on it. It's a little risky, but we have a little bit of space. Now I made a mistake there because I drew back on it. Let's look at that again. We want an angle on this 4 to get up on this 5 so we can draw back on this 6. So that plan of getting straight or nearly straight on the 6 to draw back on the 7 is pretty much destroyed with that right there, that 3 ball shot. I don't know why I drew. All I had to do was stop it, and I drew it back a couple inches, and now I'm straight in on the 4, which means I can't come this way for the 5. So I'm just going to have to draw out a little bit and get an angle on the 5. Yeah, it's just little mistakes like that can really cause a major train wreck. Yeah, it still shouldn't be too hard. But I think I hit it like, I hit it like a wuss. God, that was terrible. I don't know what I was afraid of. Oh, jeez. I held up on that stroke, and now look at the shot I got. And this shot is often missed, and it's often hit too full. And it's often sent into this rail. And I'll tell you why. If you want to get into this subject right here, if most people put left-hand English on this, which is really dumb because all we're going to do is go behind this 8 and bounce out and hit the 8, and we don't want to hit the 8. We have to go to this rail, but the correct thing to do, and I don't recommend doing this until you really, really, really practice doing it, is to put right-hand English on this to kill it off this rail. A lot of people shoot these cut shots with right-hand English, and that's all about deflection. And I didn't really want to get into deflection at this point in making these videos because it's a semi-complicated subject, but you know, a lot of it has been hyped up just to sell expensive cues to people who line up. I mean, they hear the word low deflection and they blame deflection on them being not so great players, and the low deflection shaft doesn't help them one little bit. But the company made $300 off a shaft just by calling it low deflection. A lot of it's hype. And basically, this is what deflection is. If I hit this, see, this isn't a good way to explain this. I need to turn around. If I hit this cue ball on the right side, it's going to deflect left. Just a hair. I'm exaggerating big time. But naturally, because it's a round object, you hit it on the right, it's going to squirt left. If you hit it on the left, it's going to squirt right. I don't know if that little explanation helps you any, but so in this case, if we put right hand English on this cue ball, it's going to send the cue ball that way. If we put left hand English on the cue ball, it's going to send the cue ball that way. Again, this is a massively exaggerated example. So if we have this lined up right where we need to hit it, right to make it with center English, and then we decide, okay, I'm going to keep that aiming point and I'm going to put left hand English on it. Well, the cue ball coming off the cue is moving that way just a little bit. So you'll wind up hitting it too full and you wind up sending it right into this rail right here. Okay? Yeah, on the same token, if we put right hand English on it, it's going to send the cue ball this way, so it's easy to overcut this ball if we don't have it lined up right. Okay, so it's lined up right with center English, and we decide to put right hand English on it and shoot it in the same lining point. It's easy to overcut this and send it into this rail. So if you're going to use this system, I highly, highly recommend practicing it a lot before using it in a match or a tournament. If you're not sure of what deflection is and what it does and how to compensate for the aiming points and all that crap, I recommend just using center English. Don't use any English. But people love to put running English on these cut shots. They love to put left hand English on it because it's a right hand cut. And it just feels natural to them. And it gets them in trouble. This is an example of not to use running English or left hand English on this shot. Ooh, that got tense. As for deflection, again, I think a lot of it's just been hype just to make these companies money. Naturally, if your shaft is flimsy and vibrates a lot, or not vibrates, but just is, just if you can do this with your shaft, it's gonna make the ball deflect even more than a stiff shaft because it's giving it that rubber band effect, if that makes sense to anybody out there. It's giving it that extra shaft flimsiness is causing it to deflect more. But the tip you're using has an awful lot to do with it too. So just know your game, practice, and know your stick and know your tip, know your stroke, know what you're struggling with, and figure out what's the best way for you. If that means buying a $300 low deflection shaft, if it helps your game, if it helps your confidence, go ahead. That's good enough for now. Let's just go on with it. It jumped ahead because I banged the table. So we're getting down. We're putting right hand English on this because I know it's going to deflect. And it's going to deflect up that way, and I want to make the ball. I also want the cue ball spinning counterclockwise to kill it off this rail and to try to kill the angle and try to avoid hitting this 8, but I think I wound up skimming it. I didn't avoid the whole thing. Yeah, I sent it down table a little bit, but it's all good. Now it's just a drawback behind this 9 ball long draw shot. Cue came up in the air as a bad stroke. That should never happen. Earl Strickland does that, but you ain't Earl. Watch the tip of the cue. It's all the way up there. Very amateur. Very amateur. I could just stop this ball, add the 8 ball, and take this cut. But I'm going to go to the rail with a whole lot of left-hand English and send the cue ball as straight in as I can get off this rail. Just like that. Thanks everybody for watching. I really do love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope your games are improving. I love making these videos. I feel like I have a family here. You guys are nice. You're leaving great comments. And it's inspiring, and it makes me want to keep going. The thing about pool is it's never mastered. There's always, always, always something to learn. And Shane will tell you, Jason will tell you, Justin Bergman will tell you, you never stop learning. There's always something to work on, something to learn. So I know I can make these videos forever. Anyway, thanks again. Peace, y'all.